And now, it's time for a Star Trek story.
Episode 8.
Number 8.
We're getting close to the big 1-0.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Double digits.
The big 1-0.
Always feels good.
Yeah, welcome to the show, everyone. As always, I'm Jaron Hatch, and as always, joined by our lovely co-host, Aaron Cole. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, how are you? I had a burp, sorry.
Burp. We are still in the middle of our look at classic Star Trek, though this will be our last episode from the second season. Last time we watched Journey to Babel. That was our second part and a little 2-episode look at Mr. Spock. And now we're kind of getting back into the good old high concept problem of the week episodes that classic Star Trek certainly is famous for.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be problem of the week today and problem of the era, really.
Problem of the era. Yeah. We're going to be looking at one of the earliest examples of one of the classic Star Trek allegory episodes. Ooh. But before we get to that, we have another guest host with us. Aaron, who do we have with us today?
You guys, you are in for a treat. This week, we have one of the best people I know, certainly one of my best friends.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome Marc Nielson to the show. Hi, Marc.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah. We all go way back, like so many of us on this podcast.
Absolutely.
We have talked about on the show how a lot of us doing this podcast all used to live together, and Marc, you most certainly fit in that.
Absolutely. I was probably towards the tail end of the group of people who lived together in our group.
As was I. There were so many iterations of the Boys House.
Yeah, both the original series and Next Generation.
And the Next Gen.
We all definitely spent more time all together in Next Gen.
Absolutely.
We should probably say something about the three of us in particular, because I feel like we were the closest to being. Everyone there was funny. Let's be honest. Everyone there was funny.
Oh yeah.
We were just a talented group of people.
So much silliness, but the three of us in particular were the Three Stooges.
Yeah, that would be accurate, I think. I don't think anyone in my life has ever made me laugh as hard as Jaron and Aaron have made me laugh.
Yeah, and you two, it's pretty close, like the same kind of a thing. Like, oh my God. And when I interviewed you, Aaron, it was just like my first memory of you. I'm like, this fucking guy is so fucking funny. His comedic timing is perfect.
There's just this, I feel like there's this unspoken vibe between us where if one person starts a bit or starts a joke or something, you're instantly there and you're instantly trying to think of how you can contribute to that, what becomes like the most epic scene ever. But it just starts off like one of us thinking of some stupid thing that we think is funny. And then.
Well, I've actually had a lot of time to think about like that interaction with other people, because like I've done that kind of thing my whole life where I hear somebody say something funny, I want to jump onto it, I want to add to it. Basically the improv rules, but before I even really knew what the improv rules were. And what was always so great about the two of you was that there was always an invitation to play. And that is my favorite type of person, even if it's a stranger that I meet. And a stranger says something quirky or funny to you, and you come back and respond to them with something, clever in return. And they turn around and they add to that. My favorite type of people in the world are the people who have that willingness, even as adults, to play, even if it's just for a second with somebody else. And that's something that the two of you actually excel at far, far more than most people I've met in my life.
I would agree. Like, the play is so important to me. It's easy to think play is some kiddie thing. I'm like, I disagree. I think play is the human thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's that spark. It's that imagination,
Yeah.
like being able to bring that to a real world setting whenever possible. Because there are a lot of people that would find you annoying or too much for behaving like that, and
Childish, immature.
yeah, but to find that in another person, it's a very special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the three of us. I mean, and to a large extent, that permeated the entire living situation. All of us. Carlton's fucking funny. Tyson's fucking funny. Jake's fucking funny. Austin's. Everyone's funny. But the three of us in particular, I think, really leaned into that, and just humor in general. I mean, I think everyone would always speak to just how precious it is, but I think the three of us would certainly speak to how precious humor is.
Absolutely.
We kind of ask everyone their kind of little history with Star Trek. We watched a lot, but does it go back before The Boys House for you?
Yeah, actually, it does. So my first exposure to anything Star Trek was when I was growing up. My older sister and my younger sister loved Voyager when it was on air, and they would sneak out of their rooms at night to go and watch it, and I would join them. And I loved Voyager, but I was really young. It was my first exposure to anything Star Trek. Absolutely loved Voyager. Loved watching it with my sisters. But then from there, it kind of stopped. I went through most of junior high, most of high school, chasing girls, trying to be popular unsuccessfully, because I was a nerd at heart and I was trying to deny it. And Star Trek just was not a part of my life at all throughout that period until I moved up to college and I started hanging out with you guys. And I think we talked about Star Trek at one point, and I was like, yeah, I used to watch Voyager and yada, yada, yada. And I believe you recommended Deep Space Nine to watch on my own, but then we watched the original series together. My first time watching the original series. I'd seen a few things from the original series, clips, funny little moments from it and stuff. Never, ever did I watch like a full episode or watch the entire series from beginning to end until I was hanging out with you. Absolutely loved the original series. That watch through with you guys. That was fantastic. I fell in love with it almost immediately. And ever since then, I've been a Star Trek fan. I just absolutely love it. We would always talk about story ideas that we would have, wouldn't this be an interesting book or an interesting TV show? And we had this kind of fantasy wish kind of game that we would play where if, what would we do if we were ever handed the reins and told, hey, here's your budget, you get to actually make the next Star Trek show. What would you want to do with it? And we talked about ways to tie in all of the series in a future. You would do a similar jump into the future as if from the original series to Next Generation, say, several hundred years, 500 or 600 years into the future, see where the Federation was at that point. And we came up with tons of ideas of like, oh, wouldn't this be cool if there was this and that and stuff.
Yeah, we just spent a lot of time. It's funny, even like down to, this is a different show, but way before the Orville was, a twinkle in anyone's eye, Seth MacFarlane's eye, we had this idea for this character, like they were born in a planet with a high gravity. But they were this peace-loving person, but they were just so strong because they were in this environment. Yep. So like they were always being called upon to do like this kind of Ensign Jahala was his name.
Ensign Jahala.
Yeah, and he was always being called upon to do all this like
stuff that he didn't want to do.
He was
naturally a pacifist. His entire species were all pacifists because they knew that if they went to war, their physical strength over other species out in the galaxy was far superior, that their culture leaned in a direction of pacifism in order to quell.
Well, we should probably get to the actual episode, why we're here to begin with.
Awesome.
Today, everyone, we're going to be watching A Private Little War. This aired on February 2nd, 1968. This is the 16th episode produced for the second season, so we're definitely in the back half. of that season. This is probably the most famous early example of a Star Trek allegory episode, like we mentioned, where they use like a thinly veiled sci-fi premise to take a look at like a contemporary issue. In this case, the Vietnam War. Nam. This is the Nam episode.
No one else was really allowed to write about it at all.
Yeah, censors would not allow any of these any fiction shows to talk about Vietnam. It was just such a controversial, especially in 1968. This was before the war really, but 1968 is the year where the war really blew up. This was a little before it really blew up, but this was one of the really bad years for Vietnam. So it's kind of appropriate that this is the year where they decided to talk about it.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize that censors wouldn't allow people to talk about the Vietnam War.
Too much of a hot button thing.
But it makes sense that Star Trek would like squeak through.
Yeah,
But it's not really about Vietnam. It's just like
It's a
Vietnam
silly,
adjacent.
nerdy space show, right? Who cares?
They never specifically say Vietnam, so they don't directly address it, but it's very clear what it's about. So this is one of the only shows that got away with talking about it at the time. So as we're watching, and there's usually a few things we're looking at, but for this one, the big question is, how does this work as a commentary on Vietnam, both back then and now? That's the thing we're going to be thinking about as we're watching. If you're listening, this is your invitation to queue up the episode with us. You can find Star Trek: The Original Series on Paramount Plus. This would be Season 2, Episode 19.
Chapter 8, Verse 4.
And in the beginning, Spock and Kirk beam down to the planet, and Ted, our God is superior, you shall have it.
You shall have it.
The 70th and 8th year of the reign of the Federation.
The reign of the Federation.
All right, we're going to watch this shit and see what we all think about it.
Woohoo!
We'll see you all then.
Bones. Do you remember the 20th century brush wars on the Asian continent? Two giant powers involved, much like the Klingons and ourselves. Neither side felt that they could pull out.
Yes, I remember. It went on bloody year after bloody year.
Well, what would you have suggested? That one side arm its friends with an overpowering weapon? Mankind would never have lived to travel space if they had. No. The only solution is what happened back then. Balance of power.
And if the Klingons give their side even more?
And we arm our side with exactly that much more. A balance of power. The trickiest, most difficult, dirtiest game of them all, but the only one that preserves both sides.
And what about your friend Tyree? Will he understand this balance of power?
Probably not. This episode
We just
Private Little War.
We just finished watching Private Little War.
The Mugatu.
We're going to start with some initial thoughts. Marc, we'll start with you. Initial thoughts. What's your impression of just watching this episode?
Oh, classic original series. Hit a lot of the points of interest for me that make the original series so special. But it was there were some times in this episode it was kind of rough. It got really sad at points and surprising too. There were several moments when I thought the story was going to go one way, and it surprised me. But yeah, as far as how it relates to the current, the mod or the what it was talking about at the time, the Vietnam War, it is interesting. I mean, it's basically the exact argument. I mean, at one point in the episode, he lays it out to Bones, just straight up says, and references it, but that was to societal ideologies clashing with one another. This idea of communism versus capitalism. That's really, as far as and people will argue with Vietnam. It was well, the South Vietnamese were asking us for help. And I guess technically that's true, but
not like this.
But the motivation was never about
helping the Vietnamese people.
Helping the Vietnamese people.
No, of course
exactly. Not. It was no, we're going to stick it to the Russians. And so it's a little, but Kirk in this episode, his entire goal is to help out his friends and the people. Well, and he was also, I guess, under the influence of witch magic.
Could have been, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll get to the witch magic.
It's just a legend.
It's just a legend.
Yeah, they had to kind of give him that personal twist, otherwise it wouldn't have made sense story-wise.
Sure.
Yeah. But it creates so many problems with the Prime Directive and things like that.
It does, and technically he violates orders where he dresses up and beams back down. He's not supposed to do that, and then kind of continues to break the Prime Directive throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, bringing it back to William Shatner as Captain Kirk. Interesting it's interesting that this episode is a Kirk episode, and of all the captains who have to make this decision,
right?
And then on what side of the decision they decide to come. Aaron, the impressions. Insights of this episode for you.
My impressions. It was a vague one. I think vague is a good word for it. I think they were dancing around too much what they wanted to actually talk about to get to the meat and potatoes of the episode. It feels like they wanted so bad to make the good episode, but they were so worried about probably censors and even getting it on TV in the first place that it falls short. They take some risks, but it's complicated, and the episode itself is full of issues, like the white natives.
The white-haired, white male natives.
Except for the one brown witch lady.
Yeah, the one ethnic-looking woman.
Ethnic-looking, yes. That's a great term for it. Not the best.
Yeah.
Even the other women all look like they're just white-haired, pale white people, and then there's the Canutu woman who knows the magic. Oh, damn.
Is it really? And it's not even really magic. It's passed off as magic, but it's just herbology. I know the plants of this.
I know the roots.
The roots.
But she's making it look like some crazy blood ritual.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes me believe that obviously she says oh, he's mine now. He can't deny me any wish after she saved his life. But I don't think that's definitely not true. She was manipulating people using an intoxicant, another type of root that drove.
What does she?
Males, I guess, men, kind of mad.
Yeah. My question with her throughout the episode is what does she kind of represent in the context of it being about Vietnam? Is she
yeah, sure,
the allure of power? Is she? What is she? Why is she there?
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to say something with her, but I don't know how clear it is, because in some aspects, the episode is super clear as to what it's talking about. And then Nona, the Canutu woman, the wife of Tyree, Like
the bell bottom rocking.
oh my gosh,
Bell bottom.
that outfit. The costumes in general are interesting, but hers is something else.
Yeah.
The fashionable.
Well, I just kept
hot
in the
one.
entire episode. I just kept wondering where the hell did she get orange dye?
Yeah. It looks like she killed a Muppet and skinned it and used that to make her
exactly
her
what it looks
blouse.
like.
Yeah.
But also, it kind of fits in with like the rest of her character, though. I mean, she has understanding and these other crazy plans to do other crazy shit. You know, maybe it would be easy for her to find dye.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Like, but what is she supposed to represent?
And the way that her character ends as well, like, in a lot, I feel kind of bad for the character.
Oh yeah,
Like, as from a artistic writing perspective, it is a poorly written character, because in the end she steals the phaser and then goes and tries to give it to the villagers for some reason. I mean,
it makes no sense because she's like,
for whatever
you're not
reason.
man enough to defend our tribe.
Yeah,
So I
so
will
I'm-
go give the phaser weapon to the other side. That'll show you. It makes no sense.
it absolutely makes no sense.
I kept waiting for it to be revealed that she was working for the Klingons. You know what I mean? Like that would have been something. You know?
You know what? That would have actually tied so much about her together.
Yeah.
Into one, like,
I'm working with the Klingons.
Like that, I feel like I kind of just assumed that throughout the episode, I was waiting for the moment where they established it, and it never came. But that, yeah, also Aaron's headcanon for the Star Trek episodes.
I was working for the other vaguely ethnic-looking character in this episode, the Klingon.
the Klingon.
He's got a tan and a mustache.
This one is wild. This one is interesting to like think about and talk about. Like,
Spock's not around. The entire
no,
episode.
this is
He's
a Kirk
unconscious.
and Bones episode.
Bones.
Kirk and Bones.
See, and like, and what's interesting between like the dichotomy between all three of those people, Spock can more easily convince Kirk out of his worst nature. Can talk him out of it.
Which you see
We
in the
literally
first
see it
episode,
happen
yeah.
in the very beginning of this exact episode. After Spock gets shot, he makes the decision. Like, Kirk pulls out his phaser to fight, and Spock says, "No, let's go get to Bones," basically, and they do, and they beam off. But then Spock's unconscious. Bones can't quell Kirk like Spock can. And so because of that, Kirk kind of goes on unchecked, questioned, but Bones isn't the type of person who's like, or I don't know. That's just not the relationship. Spock would have been able to stop him from what he did. I don't think Bones would have. And clearly Bones didn't. But
Yeah, it's interesting that it comes down to the two of them, and the scene between Kirk and Bones is probably like the crystallization of the whole episode, because they just sit down and just debate.
yeah.
And Kirk's, well, not even debate. Kirk's just like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
And then he allows McCoy to question him.
For a minute.
But at no point is this ever like, no, I'm not changing my mind.
Yeah,
This is
every
what I'm
action he
doing.
takes after that point, after he tells Bones, "This is what I'm doing,"
Yeah.
is exactly to reach that goal.
Yeah.
And he makes some. I found the arguments he was making seemed a little weak, but you obviously know what position like Kirk's perspective on this with this situation was supposed to represent, but I don't know. I just felt like Bones was making better points whenever they were arguing. But ultimately it was up to Kirk. So
Yeah, but I feel like we need to make a T-shirt like Kirk, because this is like Kirk versus Bones, and it's like Bones is right. I think Bones is right.
Bones is right.
Kirk kind of pigeonholes the situation into wanting to protect the people that he cares about. And like, this is the only
He's
way.
too close to it.
Yeah, he's too close. This is the only way he sees that can keep his friends alive.
Yes, exactly. Which is why it's interesting, because I feel like if it was another situation, or if Kirk did not have the personal relationship that he, like with if he was faced with a similar situation and the personal relationship was removed, I don't think he would have made the same decision. I'm not entirely convinced of that. Kirk has always been the type of like captain. He definitely leads with his heart, and it's always on his sleeve. You know, he's supposed to be that representation of that high embrace of everything that the Vulcans kind of despise, not necessarily despise, but disagree with as far as like with humans, the emotion,
off the cuff,
and he's all emotion.
Yeah.
So it does make sense why he makes the decision to help arm the tribe.
It's also, I think that there's definitely a historical perspective, and I think we talked in earlier episodes about how one of the character inspirations for Kirk was JFK. And JFK is the president who got the United States into Vietnam. Right. You know, but JFK was also like, we're going to put a man on the moon. You know, he's not so removed from Kirk. You know, it's like there's this ideal that Kennedy represents, and that's definitely, Kirk has the same kind of Kennedy ideal. And Kirk is definitely the mouthpiece for that perspective. Yeah. The question is, though, does this episode fully recognize that Kirk has made the wrong decision or not? I mean, because I feel like to some degree it does. How this episode ends is very just like, you know, we talked a little bit about Friday's Child while we were watching this one. We watched that one a couple of weeks ago, and there's a similar situation where Kirk and crew beam down into the native planet. The Klingons are there, and hijinks ensue. And lots of the natives die. But at no point is it ever questioned that Kirk and crew are doing the right thing. Yeah. Even though it's like, okay.
But when you go and look back at it, it's like, did they though?
This one does seem, I just don't know how explicit it is or how aware of it is. This one does seem to take a little dimmer view of the actions in this one. Like, they just not end on a happy note. When Kirk and crew fly off, it is kind of like the music is not happy. It's like, what did we leave this planet with kind of music?
Yeah. Well, and so I wonder how much of that actually came down to, like you were talking about earlier, censorship. Like because it's left so vague. Like they don't, like, did Kirk make the right decision? Nobody will know. As far as like the way they wrote the show. So I'm wondering, like, I wonder if they felt if they took a stance either way, that would be considered a political stance, which, you know, at the time, shows weren't really doing that, you know, at least not for stuff like that. It's much more of a modern kind of,
to take a stance on something.
Yeah. To explicitly talk about current political climate.
Yeah, it just kind of left me feeling icky, which I think might have been a goal. Like, you shouldn't feel good about the resolution of this episode at all. Like,
well, and the fact that they made this episode and they bring up the question anyways, it kind of makes you, it's a pretty big context clue as to what the writer's position on the situation was. Because you don't try to bring awareness to something and have people question about it if you necessarily agree with everything that's going on with it.
I should probably mention that. So I guess the writer of this episode, his name is Don Ingalls, but if you look at the credits, his name is listed as Judd Crucius. He did end up using his pseudonym for this. I guess Gene Roddenberry rewrote it. This is one of those episodes that Roddenberry rewrote. And I guess in the original version, it was more overtly speaking to the analogy was even more explicit. And I guess like this, like the script talked about like the village people as like Ho Chi Minh types, you know, and like they were all wearing Mongolian clothes, so it was much more like Asiatic, so it was even more implicit. But I guess Roddenberry like heavily rewrote it so there's no. The closest they get is that little speech, but there's no otherwise direct analogy or like reference to it.
He whitewashed it.
And I guess the writer though did not like the changes and it's asked for a pseudonym. Yeah, Judd Crucis is a wordplay on Jesus crucified.
All right, I like this guy already.
I was gonna say it sounded like there was like a Judas something or other in there, but that makes a lot of sense.
I think one of the biggest flaws is that it mostly just restates the problem, but without really coming to any kind of insight about it.
Yeah, or offering another alternate kind of solution, which is disappointing because Kirk is full of plan C's. You know, like he gets so many people to come to the table. He has come up with so much better solutions to worse problems. So it's a little disappointing on his part. It's like, come on, man. You felt like this was the only thing you can do. But then again, it's because the episode had a very specific thing that it was, talking about. And so in a way, that's going to be detrimental from the beginning because they actually, were you talking, somebody mentioned pigeonholed earlier. Yeah. Like they were, I guess, kind of stuck
with the outcome.
Yeah,
it's like someone has to make this call. And of course, it's going to be Kirk, so that's just
right.
Someone has to be the United States in all this, and that's going to be Kirk.
I mean, like even if they could have put a decent ending to it, or like a lesson or a higher moral thing on it, what would that have been? Like it was such a mess. You know what I mean? That whole conflict. Yeah. Like so, even if they were trying to say something about it, like. That would be a hard episode to wrap up as a writer.
I mean, I think they were still in the middle of it, and it is easy to look back now and say, well, clearly the answer was not to get involved in the first place. Yeah. But when you're in it, you can't. When you're in, they've been doing it for years, and they're just like, well, we can't just say we shouldn't have been here in the first place. We're here now. What do we do?
Sunk cost fallacy.
But you could say what do you do? But like they were in the middle of it, they didn't know. It was much more of like we don't know what the right thing to do. It's and it's only, I don't want to say this is completely hindsight, but to some degree, it's easy to look back and say clearly they should just not have gotten involved in the first place.
Well, and here's my other question. All right, and they may have answered it in the episode and I missed it. But what were the Klingons doing there in the first place? Like, what interest did the Klingons have? They were like, you know what? We're so evil. We are original series Klingons, and we're so evil that we're gonna go down to this planet with people who have bows and arrows, and we're gonna give guns to one side because why not? It's like I don't know. The Klingons is like. They very much radically change as the future goes on, but I feel like that's just not very Klingon-y to do. Klingons are like, we're going to go down there and eat gok and
drink blood wine.
Not really something that anybody does. World power or no, like you're not just like giving guns to people for no reason.
Yeah.
What was on that planet that the Klingons are like, we need them to kill each other.
We got to upset this situation somehow.
The motivations are pretty vague. I mean, like I think there is some reference to it being like it's in neutral space and it's potentially like strategic for them to be there. And Bones was looking at some of like the, natural remedies can be found on the planet.
Starfleet was right,
but
value.
It's still kind of just like, but what's the end game like? Because the Klingons have such a minimal role in all this. They don't really factor in a whole bunch. They're just kind of the big shadow villains in the background for the most part. And it is worth noting that at this point, the Klingons were designed to be basically the stand-ins for the Soviet Union at this point, or even to a larger extent, like this kind of vague Eurasian, not capitals, but Eurasian communist totalitarian state is kind of what the Klingon Empire is, and in the original show, it's only later that it became like the noble warriors or whatever, like the more Viking influence. But originally, they were definitely the stand-ins for the Soviets, essentially. And nowhere is this more apparent than in this episode. That is literally, they are just there to be the Russians for this episode. Yep.
For this one episode.
But like a very vague, just evil mustache twirling version of it.
Man, I've given you the guns now. And
Yes.
Man. Like, and what do you want in return, sir?
Man.
I want man, please.
Man.
More man.
Man.
Find me more man.
10%. Man. I want a piece of the grocery.
Yeah, so many vague. That's
What?
I'm only doing gross points now, see?
what also I think holds this back. But here's the thing: I don't think this is a total failure. This is an interesting episode to watch. Sure. I think this is definitely worth going back to watch just for like. If some of these episodes are interesting to go back because they represent time capsules, this is definitely a time capsule episode, for better or worse. But it's not just like, oh yeah, this is just great, or no, this is just bad. This is a complicated episode to try to make any sense of. Like, because I feel like to some degree there are some successes here. Like, this is the closest I think the show ever comes to showing Kirk as the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever fully go there, and if they had fully committed to it, it would go down as a legendary episode. There was no way they were going to do it back in the 60s. But it comes close as far as they're going to get to painting Kirk as the bad guy.
Well, and the way they do that by making him not seem entirely the bad guy, while still kind of pushing it in that direction, is that personal connection that he has with the people. Because it makes sense, they're part of his circle. He lived with him for however long, He was accepted by them, taken in by them.
But yeah, without that, he's on the same level as the Klingons. And really with it too, like maybe that's a point of the episode, is that even though you care about the people around you, it's still not enough to justify escalation and war,
Sure. Or abandoning all other options.
Yeah.
He doesn't even explore other options.
No, he doesn't.
Just assumes this. It's almost like he's falling back on history to justify his point of view. But Bones is almost like, you do realize, even in 1968, Bones is coming from the point of view like, you realize that was the wrong decision, though, right? Like, why would you do this? But Kirk is like using history to justify his actions, even though it seems that history at this point has even decided that what happened in the Vietnam War was wrong. Yeah, it's interesting to consider, and it makes Kirk a much more just kind of like,
yeah,
he's flawed. He is not perfect.
Yeah, because so often, and especially like in the movies too, Kirk is shown as like he comes up with like the miracle solution. Like he literally goes up against gods.
Yeah, multiple times.
The first episode that Kirk is in, he goes up against a god and wins.
First one.
And he can't figure out Vietnam.
He can be God.
What the fuck is that about? Excuse me.
Different skill sets, man.
What does a Klingon need with a musket?
Doesn't quite roll off the tongue. Like, what does God need with the starship?
What is a Klingon doing with Earth musket?
That's hilarious.
Good on Tyree, honestly. He could have made several choices here, and I think he chose the right thing.
Walking away, dropping the gun, walking away. But then, which is such a powerful decision, and I really liked that because I honestly thought he was going to shoot and he was going to hit his wife or something. I kind of thought that's where it was going.
Well, yeah, this is a good transition into what I was going to bring up next. It's like there are a couple interesting things to look at here. It's the portrayal of the natives. And I think generally speaking, this is also something that kind of hampers the episode. It's mostly just a bunch of white people wearing bad white wigs.
Right, with these like stars.
Yeah, on their foreheads. And also like,
Didn't even think about that. That's not great.
you know, if they got any kind of expert, it was like someone who had taken Anthro 101 and that's it, you know, where it's like, but there's no nuance
worn
to any of this.
like they would have worn furs, and they would have bows and arrows. I think, and that's really all you need to know about.
Yeah, you know,
They've just moved on from the lathe.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. They're a poor stand-in for this, and it's hard to completely sympathize with them because since I was a kid, I've never quite believed it in terms of their plight, because it very much appears to me as white people putting on a show to tell this story.
Yeah, I think I've made this comparison before, but doing that community theater production of Aida at Rogers Memorial, where like the brownest person in the cast was a Polynesian, and we're supposed to be playing these Nubian slaves. Yeah. So all these white people standing up in the end of the first act singing "The Gods Love Nubia," sounded like a high school choir.
In Africa.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's that.
It's that. The most positive I would say is at least the main character Tyree does have like a story arc, a character arc, like, and he's very trusting, and like you said, like he does make that decision like not to kill Kirk. But then he just by the end is just like, let's go to war with these people.
Yeah, it really just destroys him.
Kills him.
Who he once was.
Very tragic character. I think he's fine. It's just that everything else though is so questionable and hokey and goofy. It still feels really sad and tragic, but it's just also just like you can't help it. I don't know, hold your head a little bit. Just like, okay, guys. But also, like, no one else was trying to do this. So, I guess much like Kirk, where do you come down on this? Like, would you say that, like, this is better than Friday's Child? I would say.
Yeah, better than... I don't know why. I can't describe why it's better than Friday's Child. Maybe it's...
This is trying to say something.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Speaking to something. Friday's Child just felt like a hokey space western with the natives.
Yes.
This also kind of plays in that space western thing with the natives. But this, at least, there's something it's trying to... And this makes you at least... There's definitely more to talk about here, rather than just like, what were they thinking? With Friday's Child. This is the stronger effort, but it's still just, it does feel like it's such a mixed bag
Still
overall.
not there. Yeah.
Like, I love the attempt, and I have to give props for the attempt. And like I said, it's the closest it's ever come to like painting Kirk as the bad guy and questioning his actions. It just never, ever fully gets there, though.
Which was kind of disappointing in the villagers as well. It's like one Klingon shows up and is like, I have boomsticks. And they're like, let's murder all of the people who live in the tents in the woods.
Yeah.
It's like, why? What is your beef with them? Well, they've always been really nice to us.
Yeah. And
Fuckers, how dare they?
That's one of the problems with this, because with the Vietnam War, there is so much nuance, and like the whole reason why the North was fighting was they were fighting for their freedom. And it's so rarely portrayed as that in the West. But from their point of view, and for the most part, justifiably so, especially since this all started with like them trying to get out of the heel from French colonial rule, they were trying to, get out of a colonial oppressor and fight for themselves, and then create a society that's beneficial to everyone. And that nuance is completely missing in this episode. It's just like, oh, we're all getting along famously. Klingon shows up with gun. Gun? Let's shoot our friends.
I see what you mean about
the killing. I enjoy the hunt. It's like, wow.
Tyree like shoots one clay pot. And he's ready to go on a fucking
He's
murder
like,
spree.
I'm gonna go fucking kill everyone.
It's this.
It's very odd, and it's so whitewashed.
It really is.
It's like
Whitewashed and
It was
rewritten.
like
White
it
wig.
was like they
Censored
have a
and-
rule that they couldn't have, like, besides Uhura, like a single.
Well, here, to be fair,
To be fair.
a point in the episode's favor, completely shifting gears, Dr. Mbenga in the B plot, just trying to get Spock
Yeah,
awake.
yeah.
Because Bones is on the planet, and so we have Dr. Mbenga, who, for the time, this is a very progressive portrayal of a black male professional. So again, it's like, what?
Maybe they got.
How do you criticize or rank this episode? It's like, in one instance, they do it really well for the time. All the scenes with Dr. Mbenga are great. It's like, I could see this guy being just one of the regulars on the show. Like, he's got chemistry with Nurse Chapel. He real quick has some kind of personality. It's like, yeah, this guy's great.
Maybe that snuck through all the censors and all the.
They were so worried about the Vietnam
They
stuff.
were looking at all the Vietnam stuff so closely that they didn't even care about the B plot.
It's just this. It's LBJ syndrome. Your foreign policy is terrible, but your civil rights
You're nailing
policy is fantastic.
But yeah, also we forgot to mention that earlier. Like Bones
got shot.
killing the Mugatu at the very when they first get down. Like when him and Kirk both like he destroys it.
it. Bones gets
It's like, ooh.
grazed in the arm by a musket ball in that episode.
He does.
We didn't
does.
talk about that.
Spock gets shot and incapacitated, and McCoy gets winged in the arm, in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And Kirk gets bitten by the Mugatu. They all kind of get into a weakened state by the end of that one.
I love when, like, after like the ritual that gets the Mugatu poison out of him, he just like instantly wakes up and is like, Bones, I'm so tired.
When he looks at Tyree, he's like, I remember.
I remember.
This is an iconic Kirk moment right there.
Mugatu open. I remember.
It's just so happy.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's hard for me to like completely, I still enjoyed this episode.
Yeah,
even
me
though-
too.
Even though it's got writing issues and there's a lot of problems with
Historical issues.
it just has amazing classic, Kirk, William Shatner moments that just make the original series absolutely magical and fantastical to watch through. Like, because Shatner he swings on this pendulum and throughout every episode of being so good and then doing something you're like, but you can't take your eyes off of him. You're like, yeah.
He swings for the fences every line, every word. And sometimes he gets a home run. And sometimes he doesn't.
But it's the Babe Ruth rule, man. Like,
that's
you might
exactly
as well
what it
swing
is.
for a home run every single time.
Every time.
Because you're not going to get them all. But when you do, like, people are going to remember you for those. And William Shatner is arguably the most famous person who's come out of Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to take a second to talk about the Mugatu.
The Mugatus.
The Mugatu. I feel like in so many ways, everything that is wrong with the episode, not to say that it's all the Mugatu's fault, but I think everything that's wrong with the episode can be crystallized into the image of the Mugatu. Where this... You can tell they put so much love and craft into that costume. You can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's good enough that you can go with it. You don't buy it, but you go with it.
You're like, that's a guy in an alien monkey suit.
But it's a guy in a suit.
And it's so obvious that it's a guy in a suit. It's so funny. But
they
again, we're
really
talking about,
worked hard on it.
1960s. But it's we worked really hard on it. But like,
But it shows. But it's like I said, they work hard enough that you go with it. You don't fully buy it, but you're not like, I don't buy this.
Well, and
you go with it.
Unfortunately, it's the costume, sure, but it honestly is kind of the person inside of the costume. Their representation of a Mugatu is to do like the monkey arms, where it was like they were clearly like pretending to be like a gorilla, just like like where it was like a bad impersonation of a of a gorilla, a human's impersonation of a gorilla inside of a barely passable costume.
I have to bring this up. This is the vegan in me. They vaporized the Mugatu twice.
Yes.
And at no point is it ever questioned that they just decided to vaporize two of this life form. And it's like, why don't they just stun it?
Yes, absolutely.
But they vaporize it both times.
And, the first one, you can, mistakes were made. It was Bones who fired the phaser. Maybe he probably doesn't have a lot of practice with phasers.
We should look. This could be the first time we see Bones fire a phaser. No, he fired one in the Mad Trap, but it took a lot of convincing. Because he's the one who, in the end, pulled the trigger on the Salt Vampire. But it's like disguising itself as like his one true love. I wonder if this is the first time we see him do it since then. But oh boy,
yeah. The second one. So the first one is like, the Mugatu did attack them. Bones was probably like, oh, what the hell am I gonna do? Kirk just talked me into this crazy fucking situation. We're both just down here alone. And he's getting bit by this monkey creature. Okay. He forgets to turn it off. He forgets to turn it on to stun. He reacts in a moment. Shit happens in the fog of war. He kills the first one. Well, they find out later on, you killed a Mugatu. Its mate won't be far behind. They know the mate is coming. The second one shows up. This poor second Mugatu who is like, yo, my main squeeze. What the fuck have you done? I can't even find her corpse.
Marc isn't exaggerating, though. That's what's so crazy about this. Marc isn't exaggerating. That's exactly what happens.
And they kill that one too. They vaporized that one too. It's so sad. It's like, come on. Like, you literally, oh, fuck.
Any final thoughts for this one?
It's not the most shining example of original series. It's not original series at its best, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it still had that magic.
It still had that touch of that magic.
It was a different time, and it's complicated. I mean, what else can you say?
I will say there was I've never heard this line before, and I've seen this episode a bunch of times. And I really like this line as a writer. When he's talking about Nona, she dies with the phaser in her hand, the little tiny phaser, and he does say she had tomorrow in the palm of her hands. It's a good line. Sad, horrifying line, but a good line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tomorrow
it's
in the
also
palm of her
interesting, too, that during the attack against her at the end, after she has the phaser and is doing that weird thing, turning it over to the villagers, she never uses it.
She tries. No. You see her trying to flick it. It's like there's a safety on that she doesn't know about or something.
Yeah. But even that, like, she steals power, which has kind of been her whole motivation, her flimsy, weird motivation for the whole episode. And she can't use it, or doesn't use it, or
she literally can't wield it. Can't wield power because she doesn't understand it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, she has it in her hand, and still doesn't know what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Oof.
So maybe that's the moral. Take time to use the weapon that you steal before you give it to the other side.
There you
That is
go.
Learn how it works.
The moral of the entire episode was practice with your weapons when you're fixing to kill someone.
Right. Before you get into action.
Learn how to use your weapons to kill people before you use them.
The last thing you want to be doing is fumbling like a noob.
No,
That is not the lesson to learn.
Not the lesson
Oh my
of the
God.
episode.
That's what I'm sticking with it.
Please don't learn that lesson.
I think that's it. Oh geez, it's funny that we talked about comedy before this episode. This is not a funny episode,
No.
but maybe it's fun to have a few comedians
You know what? I will
talk
say
about it.
it hits those emotional moments a lot better than Friday's Child.
Oh yeah,
Like,
oh yeah.
even though it's kind of all over the place in other places, like those serious dramatic moments in this episode really get you down.
There's a lot more to walk away with, for as flawed as it is. At least it's like they're shooting for something in this one. Do they get there? I don't know, but Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
We're definitely going to have you back for more.
I would love that. Thank you guys. It was tons of fun.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark.
Love you so much. We're going to have you back very soon.
Love you guys.
Next week, we're going to be back again. We're going to be delving into the third season.
Yes.
At the beginning of our dive into the third season, and that might be the most appropriate term to describe what we're heading into, a dive. Next week, we're going to be watching Elan of Troyes. Elan of Troyes.
A land.
Elan, E-L-A-A-N. Elan of Troyes. And we will see what we think of that one.
Well, that sounds good, Jaron. I can't wait.
Oh boy! If you haven't seen the third season of Star Trek, well, you're gonna see some of them anyway.
Yeah.
So buckle up, buckaroos. So yeah, we'll see you then. Next time for a Land of Troyes. Until then, I'm Jaron Hatch.
I'm Aaron Cole.
I'm Marc Nielson.
He's Marc Nielson. And until next time, we will be somewhere. I don't know.
Doing regular adulting things.
Regular week adult stuff.
Ugh.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to share your own Star Trek story or give us a hot take on the episode we just watched, you can join the conversation by visiting our Discord server. You can find us by clicking on the link in the show description.